Hi, Andrea. Good morning to you. How are you?
Thank you for having me as a guest today.
Thank you so much for saying yes today, too. I'd like to introduce myself formally. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again. The juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, I'd like to read a bit of introduction for our listeners today before we get right into the nitty gritty of things. So, hello, everyone. We have Andrea McGinty here with us. Andrea transformed the matchmaking industry as the founder of It's Just Lunch in the 1990s, a service that expanded to over 100 locations worldwide, resulting in 33,000 setups and over 10,000 marriages. Her current venture, 33,000 Dates, focuses on helping individuals over 45 find meaningful connections, with 65% of her clients achieving long term relationships, a testament to her effective methods. Known as the Godmother of Modern Dating, Andrea's influence extends across the matchmaking industry, with over 40% of today's top matchmakers tracing their roots to her mentorship. Her groundbreaking techniques have not only shaped her clients' lives, but also set the standard for the industry as a whole. A sought after expert featured on Oprah, The Today Show, and People, Andrea blends decades of experience with actionable advice in her latest book, Love 2.0: Winning Strategies for Dating Over 50. Her no nonsense, empowering approach continues to guide and inspire those ready to embrace love in the second act of their lives. I am so excited because whoop whoop, it's relatable to me. Yes, Andrea, before we start off getting into the deep end of dating and whatnot, can you please share with us first? What was it like growing up as an Andrea McGinty?
I grew up in Ohio and I'm the oldest of six children. So it was a very like Irish Catholic upbringing. I went to private parochial schools my entire life. I mean, my mom was absolutely shocked when I started It's Just Lunch. She was like, "Oh my gosh, can't you just get married and have children?" I was that generation like, okay, go to college, but have kids right away, get married, get your MRS. And so, the whole catalyst for It's Just Lunch in my entire career was one man who I was getting married to, and he basically stood me up at the altar, and
No.
I was in my 20s. Yes, that's what started this whole thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? But I was always like, in high school, I fixed up one of my high school friends. She's still married to this day. In college, two of my sweet mates I fixed up. They're still married. I so when I ever said all of a sudden was plunked into singledom, I was like, how do I do this? How do I meet people?
Navigate.
Yeah. And that's where when I came up with It's Just Lunch with working as very much as, an executive recruiter for people's love lives. And I always thought professionally, there's people out there that call you and they're like, oh, are you interested in this? Are you interested in this? Why couldn't there be something for my love life like that? And I looked around, there wasn't. I was like, okay, I'm doing it because, I knew I would use something like that. And so here we sit 30 years later, and I've basically lived this life, everything from, you know, being dumped at the altar to being married for 24 years to, having children, getting divorced, and then boom, 5 years ago, thrown out into, like, what do you do? Well, of course, what do I do? Online dating. And I start 33,000 dates, which
Wow.
because when you look at the over 40 something group, they have no idea what they're doing. And that's where my whole book came from. My new book just got released and it's second acts winning strategies for dating over 50. And what it really talks about, it's actually for over 40, but what it really talks about is, how do you do this? And I approach dating very strategically like a business plan.
Okay. I want to know more about that because, okay, let me just share a little bit about my story. I am 35 at the moment. So I got married when I was 27 and I got divorced when I was 29. So it's like 2 years of marriage. So now I'm in my fifth year of recovering. And of course, I tried dating the past 5 years, but man, it is hard. So even me in the these, I'm finding it so difficult. I mean, let alone people in 30s, but I think we're in the same ball game, right? Like we're in the same field right now. So I don't know. I need you, Andrea, too, because I know I'm not the only one who's struggling at the moment. People listening to this will, I think, benefit, right? So, whew, okay. I want to ask you, as the godmother of modern dating, you've been at the forefront of matchmaking for over 3 decades. How do you think that the dating industry has evolved since then?
Well, let's just say this. Thank God it has evolved because it's good for
Do you
you. And
think so?
it's, oh my
You
gosh,
think so?
totally, totally, totally. It's good for you. It's good for me. Because when I go back to like the late 90s, the early 2000s, when you were like barely born, right? And,
Yeah,
and
just
I
born,
look at,
just born.
so, I started It's Just Lunch before Google. There was no Google. There was like no online dating. There was like nothing. So, then you hit the year 2000 and 2005, and there's all these dating sites out there, and they're a mess. There's the scammers, there's these sites that have no idea, and these apps, what they're doing, and there's no verification. You don't know if you're really meeting, who they say they are. Their pictures, they could be pulling them from the internet or from anywhere. And so it was a mess. By the time we hit like 2010, 2015, it's really gotten cleaned up. Now, that being said, there's over 1,400 dating apps out there. So that's a lot worldwide, right? That's
Uh-huh.
a lot of sites. So now it comes down to, are they all good? No, 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 no. But I generally work with the top 25 or 30 of the apps and the sites. And so much of that depends on where you live and what you're looking for and the demographic, that you're interested in. You're in your piece. What would work for you, 30 something, would be very different than somebody who was 20 or somebody who was 50. So it's a matter of, first of all, when I say strategy with these dating sites, and I say business plan with these dating sites, I really mean it. And I use Gallup and Statista, two big research firms, to, when I'm drilling down with my clients, as a life coach for dating, what site do you belong on? Nicolette, if I was working with you, what site do you belong on? After doing an hour Zoom call with you, I'd have a couple of ideas, but then I'd go to my research that I pay for, and I would really look at, okay, I could take within a 20-mile radius of where you live and really define, okay, this is what she's looking for. What sites look good? And what I'm looking for then is, so, when we talk about evolution, which was really the original question you asked me, the evolution of, dating sites and dating in general. Now we can drill down to, okay, within 20 miles, this is what looks good for you. This site has 75% men and 25% women, which is where you'd want to be. Now, of course, if you were a man, you'd want the opposite, right? So people make the mistake of going on, a woman will go on a site like Bumble, which will be like 85% women. And that's a big mistake because these men are, they're like kids in a candy store. They have so many,
Yeah.
choices out there. So, it's you can use strategy now with dating, and it can still be romantic, and you can still fall in love. It's not, that technical, but to get you to the right people. I always say dating and these apps are like sort of like a needle in a haystack, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then I don't know if that's like a phrase you guys use,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
okay,
I
okay,
got
needle in a
that.
haystack. Like
Yeah.
now we can get this like needle into like a little Easter basket, a little tiny basket, and make it, the algorithms work for us and the filters work for us. So a 35-year-old Nicolette can find somebody.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold you to it. You're all like, well, I mean, we're still in January 2025, so we've got like 11 more months. So yeah, I that is the manifestation I put out to the universe that this year, yes, commitment. Hi, I'm Nick Nieras, your host of the Your Worthless podcast. Now, if these real raw stories hit home, don't wait. Please follow, like, and subscribe my Spotify and YouTube. For bite-sized inspirational reels, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Don't wait. Your transformation starts today. Thank you, and bye for now.
Good. That's the right attitude, and you're smiling, which I like, because so much of it's going to be your attitude and being positive about this whole thing.
I mean, I love your energy. So I love this. This is an
Thank you.
exchange of energy. Ooh, okay. Your company, 33,000 Dates, focuses on helping individuals over 45 find love. What unique challenges, number one, and opportunities do people face when dating later in life?
Yeah, that's a whole new, that's a can of worms, because all of a sudden you wake up and you're 45 or 50, and you probably have been married, and you
Yeah,
know
most
maybe
likely
you've
you
been
have kids.
yeah, have kids, and all of a sudden, like, you missed probably 20 years of, the whole onset of online dating and the practice of dating. You've been with the same person for, let's just say, 20 years. And all of a sudden you're thrown out there and you're just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And that's the big thing. People just don't know how to navigate it. And then there's still, thank God, like, this is being, the stigma is being eradicated somewhat. It's not all the way gone though, um, because people just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
If we're talking, let's talk more, Nicolette, like, about your mom. Like, let's pretend your mom's divorced. How old's your mom?
58.
Okay, let's say your mom's divorced in 58. Think about her. Think about what would she do? She'd probably be like, throw her hands up in the air and be like, "What? What am I going to do? I've been with the same man forever, and how do I do this? My kids are online and dating. I have no idea, how to do this." And then you go back to I'm going to meet somebody organically. I'm going to meet somebody at the
That's
grocery
what I always
store.
resort to.
Yeah, right. And that isn't, and your mom, of course, she's not going to the bars, right? At 58, she's not like, "Woo,
No.
I'm gonna go to the bars." That's
No.
fine. No, she's not thinking that's not her way of life. So they wake up, and now what do we have? We have online dating, we have AI, and a lot of people are scared of it, and they don't have the tech skills to do it. So it's kind of, their self-confidence is low, in terms of dating. Maybe their self-confidence is really high with their career and their family and, stuff like that. Suddenly to be spun out into the dating world when you're in your, mid, late 50s, it's a challenge. And if you don't know what to do, and that's what my book really does. It goes step by step by step. Like, you don't even need me. You don't need me. If you just read my book, it's going to take you through. I have QR codes in there. I have worksheets in there. So you're going to scan the QR code and you're going to get a 4-minute coaching session from me. And also the sheet that you're going to download, from the QR code, about, this is my personal branding statement. This is my plan. This is how I'm going to do it. This is the type of person I want to meet. So you're putting it all together yourself. Okay. Then we'll go back to your mom for, I hope your mom's not watching this. Okay. So we'll use your mom as an example.
It's just like a few feet away from me though, but I have
Okay,
my
my So, okay. So, all right. So she needs practice. So that's what builds self-confidence when you're, like, in that over 45, over 50-year-old crowd. So I really want people to go on 4 or 5 practice dates the first couple of weeks. And that is what is going to give you a huge sense of self-confidence with dating. You're going to be like, "Oh, I remember how to do this. I can have a conversation. I'm still interesting." Get that practice in first, just like anything, like you're doing yoga for the first time, or you're playing pickleball. You take a clinic or you take a private lesson first before, you just go out there. Same thing here. So you might look at some of these dates online and say, "I'm not really sure about him." Just go. You need the practice. And who knows? He might end up being the one. But at the same time, you're getting practice. And you're going out for lunch for an hour, or you're going out for a drink for an hour. It's not like you're spending, the whole day together.
so like it's like dipping your toes in the water first before going, full fledged on that person. But it can be
Yes.
scary, no matter what the age range is. And it's just the effort. Like, and this is talking from experience. It's like you go out there. It's the process of getting to know that person again, and then telling them, being vulnerable, and how much they can take that. So that's the nuances of, entering in dating, not even dating. Like I kind of take dating is like something more serious. Like when you go on dates, 2 3, I think, at least in where I come from in Malaysia, we go on dates or just a casual hangout first. And dates is like, okay, it's going towards something more serious. Do I really want to see this person again? Do I enjoy spending time with this person? So if it, yeah. So, and I love when you put it as it's supposed to be strategic rather than just being driven by emotions, because sometimes you can be emotional about something big. When you go on dates with that person, some triggers might come up. Could be good or bad. But triggers are usually bad. So, and then, I mean, yeah, and then if you're in that healing journey, and this is where the practice, because you said you're healing. Now I'm talking about me again. Like you heal, healing, and then you go out there and you meet a guy. I like this dude. I like him. Okay, let's go out. And then somehow you don't some of the characteristics of that person, you don't really like them. And then, okay, do I really pull the plug immediately, or do I give him a chance?
Right. You know something? Okay. So you bring up a really
I
good
literally poured
point.
my
Yeah. So, you're
drinking
going
out
through
loud.
this right now, Nicolette. So here's what I would say to you.
Okay.
If you were my client, and I'm pretty direct. I mean, graciously direct, but I'm pretty direct because I'm not your best friend, right? I want you to meet somebody. So I'm going to be direct. So
Okay.
here's what I would say. If you're like, I'm not sure if I should go out with him again. I'm not sure I like him. I'm not sure. Go. Go on a second date or a second hangout or whatever you want to call it. Go out on a second time with the person, because that whole idea of when we're 18 or 19 and you see someone and it's just like explosive and it's hormones and you're so attracted to them. Here's the deal. And this is what like studies prove out too. And Stanford's been running this study for 22 years now. It can take up to 3 dates for the chemistry to happen. So you might be really nervous, Nicolette, on the first date. You might be still like, on the second date, he seems to be talking about himself a lot, but I like enough about him to give him maybe a third shot. And then on the third shot, it might be like, it'll go one of two ways for sure by the third one. It's either going to
The
go,
third will make or break it.
yep, it's going to be like, no way, or yes, I'm going to go, yes, yes. And you don't feel some chemistry. If you don't feel that chemistry and you don't feel that attraction by the end of the third date, move on.
Okay. Clear cut. Thank you. I love that. I could implement that right away.
How are you meeting people right now?
It's going to be a case study on me, this podcast. So I people through online interactions as well. So I have podcasts, right? And I do get, you know, DMs, and there's also apps out there. Online dating, not so much. The last I think a year. So right now, I'm not actively dating. So by getting to know,
Right.
getting to know.
Yeah, but I feel you like you already said to me, there's still 11 months left in the year. I'm feeling this is going to be your year for dating.
You
Like
think so?
you know what? I've listened to people, and even like people call me, and want me, as, a life coach for dating. And I listen to them first on the phone for 15 minutes before like I decide if I think I can help them. And I can usually tell one way or the other, like, something, and I'll say, I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm going to be here in 6 months. I'm going to be here in a year. I don't think you're quite ready for me. And let them wait a while because, maybe they were just widowed, or the relationship breakup was, it's too raw. And then on the other hand, I listen to somebody like you and I already feel your energy. And I think, this girl's ready. This woman is definitely ready to meet somebody. So whatever grieving you're going through from, your 2-year marriage, my gut is you're ready. So anyway, ask me questions. I'll stop analyzing you.
No, I love it. I love it. I mean, like, I mean, yeah, because obviously you've been in this industry for 3 decades now. The first 10 minutes, you could sort of read, because everything's energy, so you could sort of read energy from the other side, that person. So yeah, your intuition is on point. So currently
Thank
talking,
you.
but I'm not sure because that person is showing a little bit of a, because I just want clarity. At this point, you just want clarity, whether you're here or you're there, right? It's no neither here or there. A couple of days back, I sort of got the answer that I wanted, which the clarity that I wanted. So it was like almost like a no go for this one. Now talking to you, it's like a sign from the universe. Okay, this one, you close this door so a new one can open. And yeah, don't want to be too hung up on that one. So it was an investment of 4 months. This is just to let you on in on that one. Yeah. Andrea, I love it. Thank you so much for your advice and your insights. Now, the next question. Over 40% of today's top 25 matchmakers trace their roots back to your mentorship. What core principles do you teach that have had such a lasting impact on the industry?
Yeah, that's super interesting to me because I never really thought about that until a couple people, that I mentored 20 or 25 years ago said, "Hey, Andrea, you're the OG. You're the original. We the
Whoa.
Godmother." And I'm like, whoa, that's kind of big.
Really? I'm going
Like
to keep you
I would never
updated.
call myself that, like that comes from other people. But then one person who's a football fan in the US, she's like, on Wikipedia, when you look at like a football coach, I'm like, no, because I never look at football coaches. But anyway, she said it'll say NFL coaching tree, and it'll show like a Nick Saban, who's a big coach in the US, or Bill Belichick, big coach in the US, and it'll show everyone they mentored, and these are superstar coaches. And so after somebody said this to me, I looked at the people that sometimes I refer clients to now, and I realized, my gosh, and they pointed it out to me that it's like over 40% of these people used to work for me or came up through my system. It's just lunch. And these are people I hired when they were like 22 or 23. And I just saw something in them that was like passion. They were heartfelt. They were like, it was such a weird career to get into, like matchmaking. And they just like embraced it and loved it. And now these people are like really high end matchmakers, and they're doing celebrities. And, they're not inexpensive. I mean, they charge from like $25,000 to $100,000 a person. And they just do, I mean, yes, I'm serious about that. And so I guess what I taught them when they were coming up was, certain things to look for in a person, and that everyone's different, and that there is a lid for every pot. You might get somebody who you think is absolutely impossible, and then you find there is somebody for them. I'm thinking about this one client we had a really long time ago, like 25 years ago. And I remember this very successful matchmaker she's very successful now, but she was working for me at that time. She's like, Andrea, there's no way. There's no way we're going to be able to match him. The only thing he does is go after work. He's an engineer. He goes in his garage and he woodworks, and he doesn't do anything else. He doesn't have any friends. He doesn't do anything, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh no, we're going to find him somebody. And we ended up finding him this woman who all she does is make in her garage custom doll houses. And they've been married forever now. And I mean, it's hysterical. I mean, it's not my normal client, but now they have like this big garage space, and they work, on their own things, and they're in their own silent world, but they're in love, So maybe that was like kind of a silly analogy.
No, there's something about that.
But there
that,
is.
that
And I've never
example.
said
Yeah,
that
I love
before
it.
on anything. I don't know why that one pops in my brain. But it was teaching, these matchmakers, these people that were working with me, that there is somebody for everybody. And it's just a matter of and sometimes it's the exact opposite. Now I could have gone the exact opposite way, and he could have ended up, this woodworker engineer dude. He could have ended up with somebody
An
who is,
event planner
yeah, exactly.
who's like out
Right.
there.
An extrovert, a PR
Yeah.
person, a total opposite too. So, people, and that's another thing too. Sometimes people are like, I want somebody who's like me. I'm like, no, you don't. You do want somebody where you have common values and you have chemistry and you have good communication, but you don't want somebody who does exactly the same things that you do because you're going to be bored. I met my husband. We got married in November in Italy. And
Congratulations. Becoming a podcast host was a natural extension of my second act. Now, after spending 15 years in the corporate world, I've transitioned to helping individuals overcome challenges like navigating tough relationships, career burnout, and aligning their mission with their soul's calling. By certifying as an RTT hypnotherapist and a lifestyle coach, I've made it my mission to empower people to recreate the life they deserve and building a supportive community through my podcast. Now, let me ask, are you facing challenges like struggling to reprogram your mind to attract wealth, weight issues that feel like a constant yo-yo, insomnia or restless nights from daily worries, or just a lack of confidence in public speaking? If the answer is yes, visit www.thenickyarsholisticlifestyle.com and grab a free hypnosis audio of these common struggles. It's a sneak peek into how my coaching works. Are you feeling shy? Don't be, because I'm as real as it gets. Let's connect on Instagram and LinkedIn and start your transformation today.
thank you. I met him online and he was my sixth first date. And
Okay.
I liked him right off the bat. And, if you look at him, he's like very reserved and very Boston. And I don't know if you know what I mean by Boston, but like that old
Very
reserve. Yes.
formal.
Yeah, very formal. And I liked him right away. And I'm like, like that. And he's like, uh, but he plays basketball 3 nights a week. I don't go watch his game. He's got his own things. I've got my own things. We've got different personalities. I'm sure sometimes he totally zones me out because I'm like la 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 la. But when he talks, I always listen because he's so reserved that when he talks, I'm like, oh, what's he trying to tell me? So that's just another example of that would not have been what I expected that I would end up with.
I love it. Okay. So rewind back to the time that you said that you first met him. He was your sixth first date, and then you guys dated for how long? And then how long did it take for you to, go to the aisle or register? I
Okay.
don't know.
So I've already told you he was reserved, right?
Yes.
And so we went on a date and it was at the beach house. It's a cute little restaurant on the beach. And I didn't know it was his birthday. He didn't tell me until like months later that it just happened to also be his birthday. So it's really easy for me to remember July 21st was our first date. Very easy to remember. So anyway, I don't see him for like another 2 months because he has a house up on Cape Cod and I live in South Florida. So he comes back. Our second date, we go to a movie. And after the movie, he gives me, just show you guys. He gives me this bracelet. It's called a Cape Cod bracelet, and there's like 2 beads on it, and it means a couple. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so.
Did you like him already during the first date or the second?
I already thought he was so cute. I thought he was like,
chemistry was like,
yeah, there was. I thought there was chemistry. Like at the end of the date, though, like he didn't hug me or he shook my hand, and
that was so formal.
So when he gave me this bracelet after the movie, like I was shocked because I had no idea if he really liked me or not. So let's fast forward to more dates. He invites me over his house one day. And he's got this big house with a pool, and I've got a golden retriever dog that loves to swim. Because bring your dog can go swimming. And I'm like, okay. So I come over and we have a really nice time. It's still like nothing's happened, right?
Nothing.
It's probably like our fifth or sixth date. So as I'm leaving, like late afternoon, I look at him and I go, so, I like you. I really, really like you. I was just
like
wondering,
a rom-com.
I go, do you like me or just, or like me, or just like me? And he goes, I like you. And he said I turned red and I just fled with my dog. And then after that, we were a couple. But,
So, I mean, if you hadn't say it to him, do you think he would say it first? Like,
no, because he's reserved. I don't think I think eventually something would have had a crack because obviously we liked each other. But I needed him to say it, and I wasn't sure because he's
yeah,
reserved. And then
exactly.
after that, okay. So then it was like a year later that we got married.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
But you know what?
congratulations. That was so sweet.
Yeah, we have kids, and my youngest daughter was still in high school and hadn't gone off to college yet. She's now away at college. And his youngest son was just going to college, and so it was sort of timing too because now you've got the kids involved too, and there's more kids and there's 4 kids, and all this kind of stuff going on too. So yeah, if I just probably let it up. Oh, I will say one more thing about online dating. When I say that I had 6 first dates, and he was my 6th, that turned out to be my husband. But the first 5 men, all of them, I reached out to first online. I looked for what I wanted. You get all those people that like you, and you're like, if, if, right? I mean, there's a lot of those. I mean, there's some that are fine, but then there's these others you're like, really? Oh my gosh, what is he thinking? Or he's 20 years younger, or I'm 5'9" and he's 5 feet. I'm gonna feel like this Amazon woman, the huge. So I just found I'm gonna look for the men I like, and then I was not into that whole lots of messages or phone calls. So once I found somebody that I was interested in, I would shoot him a quick message through the app, and I'd say something like quirky or interesting. Hi, how are you? Or how's your Wednesday? How's your weekend? Nothing boring. I would try to get into something like I read about them and be like, oh my gosh, I saw you skydiving. Did you see this when you were skydiving? Because one time when I did it, I blah, 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 blah. And, that would be more my kind of, and then they would respond back. And then I would say something like, okay, so I'm not into lots of messages, and I'm certainly not into phone calls. So I'm available Thursday or Friday for lunch at 12 or 1, which works better for you. And
Wow, you
they
just
would,
went for it.
and by the way, those first 5 dates, they were all first dates. They were all in my first week. And I did them all, by the way, at the same place. I live in Delray Beach, Florida. Did them all at the same place since I was really comfortable there. And I kind of knew my way around there, and it's a cute place, and it's right on the ocean. And by the 3rd or 4th date, the host is like, Andrea, your date's already here. Okay. They knew what was going on. So anyway, my point there though is reaching out is really important. Now I find when I work with somebody in your age group, the 30-something age group, they're more comfortable reaching out because you look at it more as equal partnership. When I work with the 50-somethings, a lot of times they're in shock, the women, when I say you have to reach out. And they're like, oh no, he should approach me first. I'm like, oh no, he shouldn't. And I'll tell you why. 50% of my clients are men. And my male clients, they get their biggest complaint, I should say, is when from a woman, they get a heart or a like or a we and no message. And they're like, she just kicked the ball into my court. And now I have to do all the work. And I'm like, I don't blame these guys, for being frustrated with it. So plus, as men will say to me, it shows a lot of self-confidence when a woman reaches out to me and, says something interesting. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'll meet her. Oh, definitely. I'll meet her for lunch, or I'll meet her for, a drink after work or whatever. Women have to, again, it's not your age group. It's that 50-something and even that 45 and up group that they need to, instead of complaining about online dating, if they're complaining about online dating, they're doing something wrong. Because when you see how many people are online and how many options there are, there is no reason after 3 months you should not have met somebody.
Wow, I love it. This became a mini coaching session for me. Thank you. You actually brought very good points onto the forefront here. I am going to ponder about it before I go to bed tonight. I love it, Andrea. Cool. Okay. Okay. Now, 11 more months to 2026. So, yes, I can do this. Okay. Andrea, you've been featured on major platforms like Oprah and the Today Show. What message do you hope to impart to your audience about finding?
So I think that you have to be proactive. You have to approach this with a strategy, just like you approached your life with somewhat of a strategy. You probably approached your career with a strategy. You didn't just kind of say, "Oh, I'm going to do this," and just kind of go along. You did certain things and you worked at it to get where you are. So I want to tell people that it can still be romantic and you have a strategy in place too. And that there's very simple things that you can do to get your head there. And also like things like if you're not sure if you're ready, I'll say again, read my book. There's a whole worksheet on are you ready? And I ask some very poignant questions about that you can ponder and think about. And by the end of this questionnaire, you'll be like scoring it and saying, I am ready or I'm not. I've got to work on this about myself. So I think it's really important to know, okay, my head is now in the game and I'm going to go for it. I'm ready. And then the next step is how am I going to do it? How am I going to go about it? Because when I hear people say things like, I'm going to tell my single friends, I'm going to tell my girlfriends that I want to meet somebody. Do you think they're going to help? Uh-uh. Nope. They're not, and then especially when you get it up into this age group that, like your mom, in the 40s and 50s, do you think they know very many, like their friends, probably your mom's friends are mostly married, or if they're not, they're out looking for men themselves. So, they're not very helpful either. So, I want to tell people, be strategic about this, be positive too. You can't go into this like, I have to do online dating. I'm a loser, or feel like there's a big stigma about online dating because there isn't anymore. Everyone does online dating. Right now, I've got an NFL coach, which is our National Football League. I've got a coach as a client, and I'm sure his picture's recognized out there. I've got a well-known author, a New York Times bestselling author, as a client, and his picture's out there as well. So these are people, from all walks of life. They're trying to meet somebody. And, who does an NFL coach meet? He spends all of his time with these players during the season.
Yes.
That's it. That's who he's hanging out with. Okay. My author, who I love, he spends his time in this gorgeous attic that he has renovated that is his writing room. And he turns out like one bestseller a year. Who's this guy meeting? He talks to his publisher almost every day on the phone. She's in New York. Who does he meet? Yeah, you've got to have a strategy in place. So that's the one thing I want to tell people. It can still be romantic and you have a strategy too.
Okay. I need to get people to be listening to you or just buy your book. I think.
Thank you.
Okay, Andrea, what are you working on currently?
Well, right now it seems like I've got a lot of PR going on, around the book right now. Also, we're working on a potential Netflix series about dating. It's
Are you
one
going
of
to be
those.
featured on the show itself? I mean, in the show?
Yeah, it would be my show. Yeah. So we'll see.
I'm going to be saying to people, interview Andrea.
Yeah, right now it's just, it's in the initial test phases and we're just doing the reels right now. So we'll see. Some of these get picked up, some don't. So we'll see. But
I am praying hard for you.
it's basically helping people everything from getting people their mindset to getting you dressed for a date. Like, what are you going to wear? I send people to personal shoppers and I'm not saying, I work with people of all different income levels. So I'm not saying break the bank. I'm not sending them, to Rodeo Drive and designer stores. I'm sending them to a personal shopper and saying, okay, get her 3 date outfits. Get him 3 date outfits so he doesn't look like his grandpa, with like, he's wearing these like plaid shirts. I think we're going to get rid of those. I think we can update his style. I think we don't want him to look like he's 20, but at the same time, we don't want him to look like he's 60. either when he's like a 45-year-old guy, So, and get some cool new eyeglasses, everything like that, from how you look. Yeah, the other thing I talk about? Teeth. I talk
Ye-
about get your teeth whitened before you go online. Seriously, people look at people's smiles. People want good
That's
teeth.
true. That's true.
I know it probably sounds like really, I don't
No,
know.
but it's so true because
It
when
is.
you're facing the camera, I mean, people, as much as somebody says that I'm not going for their attractiveness, but that is the very first thing that you see on somebody, right? Like whether you're attractiveness or whether you're attracted, you're usually attracted with the outer appearance. Yeah, of course, personality comes in later, but still, first impression matters.
First impression matters. And online dating, as you know, is a very visual medium.
Yeah, exactly.
Both men and women, before they read your bio, before they look at anything else, where you went to college, anything, they're going to look at your photos. So you want to make sure those 4 or 5 or 6 photos are really good. And you're not like posing against a wall or something, but you're doing what you really do. Like if you're a skier, show a picture of yourself skiing. If you're a golfer, show a golf photo. If you're, an artist, show, you painting. Or, you love to bake, show you in the kitchen and holding, a plate of cupcakes or a cake or something you made. I mean, those are the attractive photos that, just a picture paints 1,000 words, right?
Andrea, I love it. Okay, we're almost done, Andrea. So I would like to ask you a self-worth question. We're gonna pivot to that just very quickly. So the question for you, Andrea, how does self-worth influence the way we set and achieve personal and professional goals?
There's only one answer. It's everything, because self-worth equals self-confidence, right? Self-worth, how you feel about yourself. And if you don't feel good about yourself, you know what? You're not ready to date. So if your self-worth is low, I would say before you even stick your toe into dating, then maybe get a little therapy. Think about, a little bit of therapy. Maybe you don't need much. Or not that I'm a big self-help book person, but maybe there's some, positive motivational, you know, books that you can listen to or that you could download on your Kindle and just read to help yourself. Because going out there with low self-worth, low self-esteem, you're not going to do well. And what I'm afraid of for you is the other person's going to walk all over you. And you're not going to find a relationship that makes you happy because you're always going to be so nervous about how you feel about yourself. And, do I feel self-confident all the time? No, of course not. Nobody does, but overall, you exude self-confidence, Nicolette. So, you've got to have pretty good self-worth. So if you're not there, get some help.
You heard it, guys. If you're not there yet, get some help. It's okay to get help.
Excellent. Is it okay? Is it okay in Malaysia to get help?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
We have. I mean, of course, it's a taboo thing, going to therapy still like, oh, you don't know how to handle your own emotions or your mind. But I mean, we're breaking the stigma here. People are going online, or even every companies, at least the MNCs, multinational conglomerates, they all have EAP program, employee assistance program.
Right.
Yeah. So, whew, yeah,
I mean, you say that about Malaysia. There's still a stigma in the US. Women are much more
really.
open to therapy. Men still are not very open to therapy or, look down on it. Like when I think about my ex-husband, like he thinks people who need therapy are losers.
Yeah, yeah.
There's smart people who know they need some help.
They need
They
help,
are,
and they're very self-aware of that.
yeah,
Where the shortcomings are. Like, I need help on this department in my life. So, I'm not
right.
an expert. I need to get somebody to help me on this.
Yeah.
Whew, I love it, Andrea. So, what is your heart's greatest wish?
What is my heart's greatest
Greatest
wish?
wish. Yes.
Well, I would probably say, I wish like 65% of slightly over 65% of my clients end up in a relationship. I wish it was 100%.
100%.
It's never going to be, or my name would be God or something like that. I'd be a goddess or something. But I just wish, I guess that people would give this a better chance to work, instead of what I see a lot with people is they quit after 2 weeks. They give up after 2 weeks. It's kind of like New Year's resolutions in the US. There's always quitting Friday. I forgot what the date is in January. We're probably coming up to it soon. But, people just quit. And I always say it takes 3 months online. Oh, maybe it'll happen a lot faster. I mean, I've had it happen a lot faster. But give it 3 months and follow my strategy in the book of not making it your life. But I also talk about in the book that you should only be online 3 times a week for 30 minutes at a time. And I give you very specific things that you're supposed to be doing during that time online. So it doesn't start feeling like a full-time job, because that's why people fall off the whole online dating, is because it becomes a full-time job and they get discouraged. So my wish would be that more people would give dating a longer chance and stay more positive during the
Trust the
process.
process.
Yeah, exactly. Trust the process. That's a good way to say it.
Andrea, if you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
What would my quote be?
Mhm.
Boy, that's a hard question. Jeez, could you have texted that to me first? Okay.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. Let's see, a quote. Okay, here's one my dad always said: when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And I think that's a good quote. And don't think of it as tough as much of you don't give up. You don't give up. Or, another quote that I really like is, when a door closes, a window opens. So when your marriage ends, something else is going to open up too. I don't know if that was totally corny, but that was
No, I love
rather on
that.
the spot, Nicolette.
That resonated so much. Like, and yeah, when the tough gets going, when going gets tough, the tough gets going. And then the second part of it was when one door closes, a window opens.
My mom used to say that. Yep.
Oh, Andrea, thank you. Now, how can people reach out to you to get this golden nuggets of yours?
Well, okay, I would say the first thing, go to my website, because it's got everything on there, from the book to tips to blogs to, like, giving you all sorts of advice for free. So I would start there. So it's 33,000 dates. So 33000 dates.com. And one way to maybe remember that is I've set up over 33,000 dates. So that's where the name came from. So 3300 dates.com. And then if you want to get in touch with me, you'll see there's links there. You can get in touch with me for a 15-minute call. Or if you want to buy my book, Second Acts, Winning Strategies for Dating Over 50, that's the links there. And that's available everywhere. It's available all over the world right now. So you can pretty much, get it anywhere.
Brilliant. Oh, thank you so much, Andrea. And there you have it, everyone. You've just heard an inspiring journey and incredible wisdom. Thank you for the work you're doing to uplift others and make a lasting impact, Andrea. Despite the challenges, you're paving the way for others, and your dedication is a true testament to resilience and purpose.
Thanks, Nicolette. I really appreciate that. Had I not been stood up at the altar, that's another thing. When we just talked about, when a door closes, a big door slammed in my face with that thing. A window opened. Starting my company, and I think I've got the best career in the world. Like, I meet all different kinds of people, and I love what I do. So anyway, thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
Thank you so much. And with that, I'd like to thank you, Andrea, for joining us today, and to all of our listeners today for listening. Until next time, I'm Nick Yaras, your host. Keep shining, keep growing, and remember, you are worthy and you are enough. See you in the next episode. Thank you, Andrea, again.
Thank you.